On town meeting day last March, voters in Londonderry approved two bond votes to upgrade the wastewater systems in both the north and south villages of Londonderry. They gave a thumbs up to a project that will cost nearly $8 million, $7.9 million to be precise, but 90% of those funds will be coming from state sources. The voters had to say yes to the remaining 10% coming from the local bucket, which they did. Surveying work has begun. The goal of Londonderry's Village Wastewater Project will be to provide residents and businesses the opportunities to replace their septic systems with long-term, affordable solutions. To learn more about the project, we turn to Martha Dale, a member of the Londonderry Select Board. It's $8 million altogether for both projects?
$8 million divided between the two villages. I'm just going to put my glasses on. The North Village, which is where Main Street and Route 11 crosses, is about $3.38 million. And the South Village, which is right along 100 and the beginning of Thompsonville Road, is Thompsonburg, is $4,500,000 approximately. So yes, and those are two separate buckets. We can't combine them necessarily, but yes, the total award was in the $8 million range for the community. There's a whole series of steps that we've been involved in, and right now we are actually basically surveying interest from potential homeowners and business owners. What they've done is they've mailed out about 101 wastewater information packets. Have a piece of paper in there that talks about what the project is, and then we ask individual homeowners and businesses if they would like to participate. And the way we've done it is, it's been organized for us, is that we're identifying those people who have basically been identified in a very specific area in both villages, and then based on their interest and people who sign up, we can expand into sort of a secondary perimeter of individuals and offer them hookups if there's room in the system.
So it's a voluntary hookup thing? People who
you choose, yeah.
Okay. I guess what prompted the need for this upgrade? Is just antiquated infrastructure?
Good question. I went back and looked, and apparently about 10 years ago, there was a question raised about the limitations of our current wastewater services, or water quality, if you will. And there were some recommendations made back then, but were never sort of fulfilled. My sense is that as early as 2022, the towns or the villages of Londonderry and South Londonderry knew that there was going to be some government money available. And so there was a Village Wastewater Commission created in October of 2022 to look at the funding streams and the possibility of looking at this. What were the sort of the key issues were that the quality of water in our streams was suspect, meaning in the South Village in particular on the West River, there was evidence from regular testing of E. coli levels that were not suitable. But we were also noticing that there were limitations in land use and development potential, based basically on parcel sizes and the water quality and the wastewater services. And we recognized that there were vacant buildings and potential buyers were going to have to make some serious decisions about investment if they decided to buy any of those properties. And so this is really long-winded way of saying this project is all about economic development and revitalization for our two villages.
And is there a connection with sort of enabling more housing to be built? I would imagine.
Absolutely.
I keep on hearing about municipal water systems and being linked to, being able to incentivize more housing development.
Sure. Would
this be a part of that as well?
So yeah, if you think about buildings currently, if we did nothing, if you were a new business owner, potentially you would look and see whether or not you could construct or take or buy an existing business and expand it. The problem is you can't, because many of our businesses are in floodplains or floodways, and there are very distinct limitations on existing septic and wastewater treatment for those existing buildings. So nobody really could build new or buy and expand a business if you were in town. So this is all designed to give an opportunity for economic development. Otherwise, we're going to basically be frozen in time and not able to improve the number of offerings, the comprehensiveness of our retail services in town without these infrastructures being created.
And is there a project timeline in place? Like you want to have it done by a certain point?
Yep. So we went through on town meeting day a successful ballot initiative for our piece of this. Much of the funding, though, for this project is coming through ARPA and clean water funding, if you will. The next big step is that by September of this year, the final design will be created, plans and specs all done. In January of 2025, we'll open for bids. The idea being that in April 25, construction begins, and a year and a quarter later, in August of 2026, I think that is, I wrote that number down wrong, 2026, construction will end.
Do you think was there a critical factor in enabling Londonderry to win these, or?
That is a good question. I think there were more than 10 communities, and I'm guessing it's probably more than that, who applied for these. Londonderry, of all those applicants in the state of Vermont, got the biggest award, which sort of surprises us. I'm not sure exactly why. Maybe it was that work that we had been doing over 10 years to sort of think about the issue. But the key takeaway from this award is if we don't spend it and we don't use it and we miss timelines, that money goes back into the pool and gets delivered to or given to a waitlisted project that didn't get an award. So the onus is on us, meaning the select board of Londonderry and our citizens, to complete the project in a timely fashion and spend as right up to the very amount of money that we've been given.
We also had a chance to meet up with Londonderry's town administrator, Shane O'Keefe. So the town hall here in the town garage will be part of the wastewater project?
I believe we ought to be, and in that, our septic system at this location is real old. This was a school years back, and we kind of know where many of the parts of the septic system are. We actually had it evaluated a year or two ago, and it seems to be good, but we are in the process of expanding renovating the town offices and creating additional office space. So there may very well likely be some needs from a capacity standpoint.
So what people need to do then is to reach out to your office here and get a registration form to be included in the wastewater hookups? Is that
well? No, we actually the wastewater committee sent out a letter to all property owners within the catchment area for both the North and the South Village wastewater systems, and asked them to determine whether or not they wanted to, on a preliminary basis, connect. And so we can get a roster, if you will, of those who would be interested, and we can work further with them. If we find that there are not enough individuals interested and we have excess capacity, we can go outside of our target area and try to find others who would be interested. But we clearly we have identified the two village cores as the areas that need the wastewater system the most.
Infrastructure upgrades have gotten a lot of attention statewide since last summer's flooding events, which also impacted Londonderry in a big way. The aging nature of many of the state's systems, wastewater included, plus the influx of federal dollars through the ARPA and other legislation passed in recent years, have made it possible for towns, especially small rural ones like Londonderry, to make some headway. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.